Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever-loving host, Shorty, and today I'm going to review in 2 parts. I'm still going to try to do it in 5 minutes, but if it goes over, you're going to have to bear with me. Give yourself an extra, minute and a half, just in case. Because what I'm reviewing is White by Black Mask Comics. And first off, I've got to say, if you're looking to get hold of one of these, well done. This is the only one I've got in. It's ordered for a customer who's very generously let me read it and review it. And I've seen how much they're going for on eBay, so he's a very lucky man. But there's a reason I'm doing it in 2 parts, is because this is doing several things. First off, it's just a cool superhero story. And secondly, it is a very good take on actual civil liberties and racism in America. Yay. So first we're just going to talk about the superhero element of it, because why the hell not? It's a world with superpowered individuals. There's action sequences with people without superpowers using Tony Stark level nanotechnology suits and what have you. There is a presidential assassination. There is a chase through the streets with various superpowered individuals coming together in a team. All this stuff is very superhero stuff. Brilliant. But as much as I do like it, there is a drift into almost Liefeldian silliness at times. I mean, I've shared this on our Instagram already, but you can't really look at that and think, yeah, this is going to be subtle. And weirdly, that wasn't the first thing that bothered me, especially with regard to guns. This gentleman here about to take a shot with a long-range rifle there. There's a couple of things about that bugged me a little bit. Number one, if you look where he is, he's actually on top of the Washington Monument, which is going to cause some hell issues when you're firing with a wind shear, and you're going to struggle to keep your rifle pointed in the right direction. Add to the fact that he's got a shoulder stock, which he's clearly not using. That's up near his ear, nowhere near his shoulder, so he's lost 1 point of stability there. And it has what looks to be a bipod thing, which he clearly can't use because he's on top of the Washington Monument. All in all, a pretty bad attempt at assassination, if I do say so myself. And I hate to say it, it had me thinking, well, if that's how they're going to handle this very early thing, how else is everything else going to play out? Well, when it comes to the action sequences, they're brilliant. There is movement in them, which is kind of hard to describe without showing just like endless panels of what they do with it. Super speed and super powers come brilliantly. And the overall artwork is great as well. To say it's just black, white, and greys, it's very, very effective. Individual character design is fantastic, and the ideas of superpowers and how they're reflected in the character and character design is top-notch. There's a whole bunch I really, really like about this one in terms of just being a superhero comic book. If I was just looking for a superhero comic book, I think I'd be reasonably happy with it. Again, not 100%, solid 4 out of 5, obviously. Simply because there's a few times where it's been like, yeah, whatever. And then there's bits where the writing becomes a little bit staid and predictable as well. The villain is so clearly villainous. It detracts a little bit from the subtlety. Now, the subtlety is when we start talking about the second half of this thing, which is an actual commentary on black people and the way they're treated by Americans, white Americans. Well, not all of them, sorry. Just, you know who you are. I'm probably not, anyone watching the video is probably not that kind of person, so apologies. But they use language quite effectively in this one to kind of show that it's not just a case of we're talking about superpowers here. The way they refer to these people is empowered blacks. Now that, yes, in this particular phrasing, they are meaning super empowered blacks, but I'm sure people will be well aware of how the term empowered blacks reads to most people in the modern setting, and why certain white nationalists and supremacists are not a fan of that. And it's basically set around this idea of a white president now, who's been taking advantage of empowered blacks for centuries, and is now trying to control these people by elite level technology to give them to police forces and special forces. One of them being his son. His son is kind of like the worst kind of right-wing douche nozzle, like full-on, just a total appealing to the worst kind of white supremacist, whereas the fact the president is far more political. And that, I think, he's actually done reasonably well in terms of writing, because there's a bit on the cover. The cover, by the way, I could talk about for quite a while. But there is a little bit of a Make America Great Again there. Now, that's not to say that it's going to be that as a direct reference to Trumpian politics. Make X Great Again is not something he created. It's just been used by fascists and white supremacists for a very, very long time, and he's the latest person to adopt it. But the character Man in this, President Man, is far more intelligent and knows how to play the game and understands the difference between doggle racism and appealing to a base rather than just out-and-out racism and basically showing your hand. It also plays a little bit on the idea of stoking fear and division and all that kind of stuff, which, don't get me wrong, Trump did very, very well, but you can't help but feel he just did it by accident because he's a racist. Whereas this seems like it's a far more calculated thing, and I think that's going to be more interesting to watch play out rather than just assuming idiocy on the part of nationalists. But overall, a lot going on in it, and with a few exceptions, it's all good. There's a thing about the language used in it, which I'd like to talk about more, because the African American, or at least I'm assuming African American writer, or African writer, has a way better understanding of the vernacular than I do. And I can't help but feel that if I'd read that and knew it was written by a white guy, I'd be really pissed off. But knowing, expecting that it's been written by, does change my opinion of it slightly. I can't help but feel that would be a relevant conversation to have. In fact, it would be a relevant conversation for a lot longer than I've given it. But such is the limit of trying to review very important comic books in 5 minutes. Overall, though, enjoyable. If you're lucky enough to find one, I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. That's it for me. I'm going back tomorrow with another review. Until then, stay safe, everyone. Look after each other. Bye.